everybody. I'm Evie Roberts, and this is my podcast, Talking in the Dark. Welcome. The aim of this podcast is to raise awareness about blindness, visual impairment, and disability in general, in a happy and light-hearted way. For those of you that don't know, I am blind. I was born with a condition called bilateral anophthalmia. Try spelling that one. It basically means that when I was born, my eyes didn't develop properly, so I wear prosthetics instead. The goal of this podcast is to remove some of the stigma and stereotypes around disabilities, whilst also having fun at the same time. Each week, I will be interviewing people from all walks of life, including some with hidden or physical disabilities like mine, and getting to know a little bit more about them and the lives they lead. In this episode, I am very excited to tell you that I will be talking to accessible format specialist and founder of Dot and Type, Natasha Molyneux-Smith. My name is Evie Roberts, and this is my podcast, Talking in the Dark. Welcome. Hey Tasha, how are you doing?
Hello, it's nice to see you.
It's nice to see you too.
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. But first up, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's really nice to see you.
Oh, well, it's an absolute honour. You know, it's been strange. So for anyone that doesn't know, me and Evie have worked together in a past life for 7 years. So it's strange being on this side of the camera, actually.
It's really weird because you were kind of like part of the team when we started as well, when we started the podcast, and you've seen me record.
Yeah, exactly. And like the photographs in your first, I think, like 5 podcasts are all taken by moi.
Yeah, they are. They are actually such good quality.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So yeah, it's weird having you kind of on the other side. I was thinking about that this morning.
Yeah, I was too, but like super excited, a little bit nervous, but yeah.
Don't be. Honestly, don't be. Well, how's your day going? What have you been up to recently?
Oh, what have I been up to recently? Recently I have been, just on a personal level, I made soup last night from a vegetable that I grew in my garden, a squash. That was really tasty. On a life level, I've been doing lots of bits and pieces, lots of networking, because the business, as you know, is new. So it's just been trying to make those links with people just to get my name out there and spending time with my cats.
I feel like we have to introduce everyone to the cats first. Like, you know, they are such a part of your life.
They really are. They're my children. So I have 3 Maine Coon cats, 2 of which are 8 years old now. That's scary, isn't it?
That's really scary.
And 1 of which is 5. So we've got Ragnar, Wolfgang, and Valentina.
They are icons. They're actual icons. I've been lucky enough to meet 2 out of 3.
Yes. Oh, you will have to meet Valentina at some point.
Valentina, yeah.
She's cheeky.
I also just want to plug, obviously, you were saying that you made soup last night, and I think I saw that on your Instagram, because Tasha isn't just the founder of a business. Tasha is also... Is content creator the right word?
Yes, small fry. Yes, I've got an Instagram account, another one. God, I've probably got about 7 Instagram accounts.
Oh well.
But I've got one called The Nature Hobbit, and I share all sorts of content on gardening, being out in nature, and fun bits like that, really. It's a bit unhinged, but...
It's a bit unhinged, but you know what? We love that.
Exactly. You've got to be yourself, haven't you?
Exactly. No, it's iconic. Well, I feel like we have to talk about Dot and Type. That's the whole reason we're doing this.
Yeah.
So can you give everyone kind of a little bit of an intro to Dot and Type and kind of tell me a bit about the business?
Yes. So Dot and Type is a braille and large print transcription service, and I provide consultancy when it comes to making businesses accessible and awareness training as well for people with a visual impairment. So I hope I don't embarrass you by talking about this, because usually when I'm talking about the business to people, I'm talking about you, but now I'm talking about you to
me. That's fine.
That's weird.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, right. Don't get embarrassed. So basically, Dot and Type was founded because I started working with you when you were in year 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I started working as your key worker in year 5. And basically, I just saw where there was kind of gaps in accessibility for you, you know, to access text, or certain things that, you know, were missing, and that should have definitely been accessible to you. For example, I remember when I think it was year 5 and you received a party invite, and it was just a standard written text party invite, and I asked the child who handed it to you, I was like, oh, can I have that please? And I put an overlay of sticky braille onto it, and I brailled all the details for the invite for you and handed it to you, and then you were able to see like where it was, who it was from, you know, the details of the party, the time and everything. And it was just things like that, you know, that didn't need to be done. You know, I was already brailing your access to regular school text, but I just thought something like that is so social, and like, why should you miss out on that?
It is really social, and I remember that vividly. I genuinely do, because it's things like that you wouldn't really think about, I think, if you just weren't in that position. But I think as a little kid, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, oh, I can't read party invites.
Yeah,
fair
exactly.
enough. And I have a very, very vivid memory of, year 5 or 6, it must have been, Christmas cards.
Yes.
I got loads because it was like, you know, that's a thing in primary school. You get Christmas cards for the class and then you end up with like 20. Yeah. But I remember you brailing them. And like, I couldn't ever actually read Christmas cards before that.
That's crazy. And you know what, actually, what I didn't mention before is I produce braille greetings cards as well, because of that very reason. You know, for you to have Christmas cards read out to you your whole life up until then, or maybe not receive them because people didn't know how you would read them. It's I actually forgot that I brailled all your Christmas cards. Yeah, I can imagine, like, I was very grateful of the really short ones that were like, to Evie, Merry Christmas, love from blah. Yeah. But like the ones that have like War and Peace inside them, I'd be like, oh my gosh, am I going to do this on A4?
Yeah, full on letter.
Yeah.
That would fit on a Christmas card for print, because I think that's something that people don't really realise. Random side tangent, how much bigger braille is than print.
I know, right? So people don't really understand braille as a concept anyway, but it's basically a code, right? And it's formed of 6 dots, but it's a standard size, isn't it, the braille? So say, for example, you've got one A4 piece of text, that braille technically kind of doubles it in a way. I know that's how I work out how much braille is going to be provided. So, you know, your textbooks for like high school, how crazy your what's it, the dictionary.
So for listener context, you can get the dictionary in braille, in case you've ever wondered that.
Yeah,
you can. It's in a trolley. That's the only way I can.
35 volumes.
Yeah. And I remember I've used it once in my life.
I know. Do you remember when you had to do like Word Ninja in primary school? Yeah. And it was like, find this word in the dictionary, and it would take me, I'd be like, give me like 5 to 10 working days to find them.
I remember one task in year 4, we were learning about ancient Egypt, and I think it was before you started or when you were shadowing.
Yeah.
And it was like, right, there's a list of 20 words there and you need to find out what they are. Not a problem. Bring out this trolley. And I'm like, I'm 8 years old, and I think the trolley might be taller than me.
Yeah, literally. I was like, oh, I'm so discreet.
But yeah, it's definitely I think something people don't realise. And yeah, it is a standard size as well. Like, you can, if braille is enlarged, it becomes illegible. Yeah, like, you just can't.
There is jumbo braille, isn't there? But it's not advisable.
But it's not. It becomes not looking really like braille. It looks like dots, but it doesn't have the formation. One thing I'm curious about, though, obviously, you know, dot and type is about braille and large print, but how did you find actually learning braille yourself and learning how to sight read it?
Ooh, okay. So as you know, well, I was brailing and learning braille alongside yourself, who was a fully fledged brailleist. So for anyone that doesn't know, there's 2 grades in braille, so grade 1 and grade 2. Grade 1 is each letter as it is and numbers, and grade 2 is like short forms, contractions, word forms. So I was learning grade 1 whilst Evie was brailing grade 2, but then also doing my course alongside it. So having to know at what point were my assessments, were they in grade 1 or grade 2? And then so I did that for a year and got qualified, and then the following year I did maths braille, which was fine. I got a B, not as high as my other grade, but I podcast, right? And so there's Evie, how many different brailles is there? There's science brailles, music
braille. We're never going to touch that, are you?
No, thank you.
That's my problem.
Exactly. So let's talk about music braille for a little bit. So music braille is difficult because not only do you need to know braille, but you also need to know music theory.
Yes.
Like, how rare is that? Apart from Evie knows both. Woohoo!
I do. Yeah, music braille is tricky, and so same with maths, because I think, like we've kind of previously mentioned, braille is 6 dots.
Yeah.
There is no like fluctuation with that. You have 6 dots. So the same dots and dot formations that would be used for normal English are used for maths, but with a sign in front of them.
Yeah.
And the same are used for music. Now, luckily with maths, you kind of, once you've got the numbers, and then obviously there are signs that go along with that, but you know, music theory seems to be never ending.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And it's like, it's mad. It's absolutely mad. But I think what you mentioned about maths braille was that, yeah, I knew grade 2 when you were learning grade 1. Maths, I didn't really fully know maths braille.
Yeah.
And obviously that kind of skyrocketed when I got to high school. So not only were you trying to master that, but you were also teaching me.
Yeah, and maths braille in high school was a wild journey, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We won't talk about that.
We won't talk about that. All I'll say is that trying to do algebra when you can't see is an experience that I wouldn't recommend.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, don't forget the right angles.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that's... Well, then now you're getting into tactile diagram type.
Oh, I know, which dot and type also does provide.
Shameless promo. Yeah, tactile diagrams are another thing in themselves. Because for anyone who like was wondering about that, you can get like in GCSE, obviously science or maths, there's a lot of pictures, and you can do it. You can use tactile diagrams and swell paper, but that is, it's a whole thing in itself.
Well, like maths is like an abstract concept, right?
Yeah.
So at least with science, we were able to feel some of the equipment that we were using and stuff. Probably not about the gases and stuff, but but when it came to concepts, it's kind of a whole nother level, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think kind of one of the main things of dot and type is kind of making things accessible and making things inclusive. And I'm kind of wondering, why would you say is accessibility so important to you?
Well, to be honest, like, to me, accessibility just makes sense. It's all about breaking down these barriers that, I don't know whether it's the environment, society, or certain people have put up in the world, whether it's on purpose or not. And it's about making things inclusive, and it's about just including everyone and giving everyone like the equal opportunity to life, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think I completely agree with you. It's something that is just, in a way, such a kind of simple thing to understand. But also, if you've never been in certain experiences before, never interacted with certain people, it's something that kind of just doesn't, I say the word is kind of click, because you just haven't witnessed it.
Yeah, and you know what? The amount of people that have actually said that to me, Evie, so when I say about, oh, well, I do Braille greetings cards, and they say, oh, I've never even thought about that.
Yeah.
And it's because they haven't either directly been impacted with it by themselves or a family member. Much like, I don't know, if someone hadn't, been aware of what it was like to be a wheelchair user, they wouldn't know that some shops weren't accessible. So it's all about raising the awareness about that as well, and very much like your podcast does, changing and getting rid of stigmas and stereotypes. It's really important, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think it's kind of about like that kind of raising awareness and making sure people's voices are heard, really.
Yes.
Making sure people who have those lived experiences are the ones being able to like make that change or have an impact on making that change.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, like, I'm really glad you said that, because to me, like, it's all good and well me talking about accessibility without an eye condition here, and visual impairments, but like I like to see myself as one of the champions, and maybe some people can't speak up for themselves, I don't know, but also I think it is really important to raise that awareness and to get your take on it as well, because someone said the other day, which was such a fantastic phrase, nothing about us without us.
Oh,
and
I love that.
It's great. Like, it really stuck in my head. Like, why wouldn't I get you involved with having a look at my like greetings cards and seeing if they're okay, or, you know, proofreading something, or just checking something's legit and works for a community which you're involved in. Like, why would I make up something?
Absolutely. Like, if you know, you're kind of working with and for a sort of specific demographic, why, like, they're the people who are going to be using it.
Yeah, exactly.
They're the people who need to check if it's good, like if it's okay. It makes perfect sense. And I mean, speaking of, like, you know, having people's voices heard and lived experiences, I know you've spoken to a few members of our kind of local blind community on the island recently. But I'm curious as to, like, what insights have you taken away from those conversations?
Okay, so yeah, I've spoken to a handful of people from the VI community, and coming from the Isle of Man, you know, it's a small island, but it has the potential for amazing things. But there are just a few things where I think we could improve, especially when it comes to accessibility. So, for example, the Equality Act was only kind of implemented in 2017, so it kind of shows that a tiny bit behind, but it's more up to date than the UK one, which is like, woohoo, great.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I found that the difficulties were access to text. Say, for example, like yourself, a Braille user, there's virtually no Braille. You know, well, there is on the standard things like lifts. That's people always mention to me. I see Braille on the lift.
Yeah.
But you know, what about fire exits? What about other signs? You know, important signs. Access to large print text as well. So one of my missions is to create Braille and large print menus for the restaurants on the island, because why should you go into a restaurant and either one, have it read to you, or two, have someone assume what you want to eat? Because you're so experimental with food, Evie. I don't mind me saying, like, you're a huge foodie, and you know, like, that's reducing you from choosing, I don't know, something random that you might choose on a menu.
Yeah, exactly.
And also the transport, I've heard as well a few times that's been mentioned. So the buses have this thing called talking buses, which lets you know which stop you are at, and sometimes that's not always turned on. So things like that. The bus timetables are hard to read, especially with either a screen reader or, you know, well, it's not provided in Braille. So they're kind of the things that I've come across, and again, it's like that whole making people aware, because they're not directly impacted by it. It's about talking about other people which are in our island community, and it's important.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's so many things that you would just assume are brailled or are accessible that may not be. I mean, it was a post you did a little while ago on Dot and Type that I saw, and it was like a series of photos, and it highlighted it, like a medicine packet showing how many to take, a warning for an allergy. Like, now there is Braille on medicine packets, but it usually just states the name and nothing else. And so, like, there's so many things that you just assume are Braille that, like, are not.
Yeah, this is the worrying thing, isn't it? Especially when it comes to like food allergens. You know, how will you know if you are visually impaired and you have a nut allergy? You know, how would you know to take 2 tablets a day out of your packet? You know, what happens if you were just having a stressful time? Your doctor did tell you, but you were like, oh gosh, I can't remember. Like I said before, fire exits. You know, it's all sorts of things like this about raising the awareness, and it's my job in Dot and Type to not only raise that awareness but support businesses and people with that as well.
Absolutely. I know one of the things you mentioned there as well was Braille menus for restaurants and things. Now, obviously, we've still got a long way to go with that, but you have kind of made a start with one of the restaurants over here.
Yeah, so I have brailled one of the first Braille menus for the Isle of Man with just pizza and pasta, actually. And I was so glad when Mitch got in touch and said, I've been wanting to have my menus brailled for such a long time, but no one provided that service. So he got in touch and it was super easy. I said, yeah, just send over your files of your menus. And then I brailled them for him all within a week. And then they're ready to use now. Yeah, which is great. Oh, and also he ordered 2, not just 1.
Love that.
So could you imagine like a cute little date? I don't know,
that's
two braille users.
Because I think, you mentioned this a while ago when we were talking. It's not just kind of, it will obviously, the main impact will be for people on island, but people coming over.
Yeah, exactly. This is the thing. So I'm glad you mentioned that, actually, because a lot of the time people have said to me, well, how many braille users are there on the island? And I think it's probably less than 10, isn't it, Evie? Yeah. But to me, like, that doesn't mean that we can just stop providing for braille users because there's only a handful of you. I think everyone should have access to text. And you know what, as well, like, my business isn't just Isle of Man based. It's, well, global now that I've sent a card to Japan.
Yes. Oh my god, I saw that. One of your first ever like greetings cards.
Yeah, it was, which is crazy because, like, for anyone that doesn't know, there's about 142 different braille codes in the world because, you know, not everyone knows English, just like everyone speaks different languages. So yeah, having to learn Japanese braille was not on my 2025 bingo card, to be honest.
I'd be surprised if it was, to be honest. Like, you're making your bingo card, like, I think I'm going to learn Japanese braille, actually.
Well, actually, I did have a poster for it because but that was like my 3-year goal, Evie, not my like 1-day goal.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna do this in a week, you know. Yeah. Like, you learn like French braille for when I did in Key Stage 3.
I did. I like, that was just crazy. But you know what? At least with French, like, the normal letters were the same as English.
And then you just had the accent.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little flourish there.
Yeah. Dramatic effect. Definitely. Yeah. So you know a couple of braille languages now. Which is a flex.
Oh, yeah, it is. You're right. I provide in different language braille as well.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to say loads of them, but like I think there's like Swahili as well. Oh. I mean, that might be out of my remit. Like, that would, because the thing about it is you kind of need to understand the language structure as well, right? I remember I got asked when I was at the base, when I worked at the Vision Support Service for Education, whether I wanted to produce and come up with Manx braille.
I remember this,
which is wild. Like, also sounds really cool, but how scary would that be? Because I'd need to know Manx as well, right?
Yeah, that's the thing, because it's not just like creating a new braille code, which is a scary thing in itself. You can't create a braille code without knowing the language, without being fluent, or having someone work like by your side who is.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, I mean, that would be. Can you imagine that? Dot and type creates Manx braille.
Do you know what? Never say never.
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
In 2 years' time, you might have done that. So you never know. Well, you know, we've talked a lot about kind of the business and the setup and what you do, but what would you say are, have been some of the challenges you've faced in advocating for accessibility to text, like, with your business?
Okay, so I kind of mentioned it before when I said about like the small amount of braille users on island, right? So a lot of people kind of think, well, should we produce documents in braille with a limited amount of braille users? Again, I think that everyone should have an access to text. It makes perfect sense. Like, why would you ostracize a community of people just because there's only maybe like 10 of them?
Yeah.
It's about being inclusive. So that's kind of one of the challenges I've come across. Another one is probably, let me have a little think. I don't know, when it comes to doing large print in particular, people probably think that, oh, well, you know what, I can just put this on A3 and make the text like massive. But that's not what it is about. There's a certain way that you've got to lay out the structure, a certain font that you've got to use, spacing, all sorts of things like that need to be factored in. And that comes with being an experienced and qualified accessible format specialist. Same for braille as well. There's the way you've got to lay it out is really important. So yeah, I guess I'm going to keep on saying awareness, but it's raising awareness about those kind of things, like, oh, we don't just blow it up to A3. Because you could imagine, right, an A3 sheet, and you've got all this text on there. think about how long it would take to read that, because it's massive.
Yeah.
Like you've got to scan from like one side to the other. You know, you could get lost like whilst reading it. And every single eye condition is different as well. So I know a lot of people, when you say blind, it doesn't just mean blind. Like they see, a lot of people think see black, right? There's various eye conditions where there's like tunnel vision, or they can only see through their peripheral, or, you know, I've seen a lot of people describe it before, like if you were born blind, that it's kind of like us seeing out of our elbows, right? So we don't see black, it's just kind of nothing. Yeah, it's exactly. So that's, I think having that awareness that everyone is different and all eye conditions are different, and making text accessible to people with someone that's a qualified specialist.
Absolutely, definitely. It's something I've found that I end up talking about quite a lot on this podcast, but something that has so many misconceptions around it is what you've just talked about there, the idea that blind means seeing black. Using a cane or having a guide dog reading braille. Oh my god, no. It's so not that. It's
like, so much more complex. I don't think I've ever come across anyone that's like, I just see black. Have you?
No,
I
don't think I have. Because I think maybe the closest you would get to that is people who can see light and dark, or light and shadow, but they can't see anything. That's the closest you're going to get to that. But it's almost, I would think it would be almost impossible for someone to just see black. So, you know, and like it's such a spectrum, and there are so many. It's actually mad how many conditions come under it.
Exactly, and no two people are the same with the same eye condition. So, you know, when I was in education, it's all about catering to that individual as well. I mean, if I'm producing stuff like the menus, for example, for the masses, I did do it in grade 1 just purely because not everyone can read grade 2, and I wanted everyone to be able to access that text.
Exactly, that's another thing as well. Like, not everyone's a grade 2 brailleist. Like, exactly. I know I am myself, but you have to, when, you know, learning braille, you have to learn grade 1 first, because that is your basic alphabet. And for some people, that is what works best. Do you know what I mean? Grade 2 definitely condenses it. It's great, like, if you're taking notes. I couldn't have took my high school notes in grade 1.
Oh my gosh.
But for some people, like, it just doesn't work. Like, that's completely fair.
Exactly. And what people need to know as well is that not all people who are blind read braille as well.
It's actually a mad kind of, I think it's maybe about sort of 5 or 6% of us, which I think shocked me when I first learned it.
I didn't know that. Wow.
It's about, I mean, I learnt this fact a couple of years ago, so I may not, my statistic may not be completely correct, but there are millions and millions of people with eye conditions, but only about 6%, as of when I last checked, I should probably recheck that, actually read braille.
Why do you think that is?
I think it has, I'm going to be sort of careful what I say here, but I think it has a lot to do with, from conversations I've had with other members of the blind community, the common factor I've noticed is that those who lose their sight later in life or have a condition that deteriorates gradually may not learn braille.
And I get that. Like,
I do
too. Bothered doing it if I was like 20?
No, you probably couldn't. And also, from a mental health perspective as well, imagine being able to read print for 20 years. And then, or kind of worse if you're a kid. Imagine, I can read print until I'm 10, but now they're telling me I can't read print anymore.
And you know what? That's so important that you mentioned that, because mental health is so important as well. Like, what I don't think people realize in the VI community, like you say, if you've had your vision for your whole life and then you suddenly lose it, like, wow. And the anxiety that must come around with that, and all sorts of things, you know, not only for the individual but the families. Like, it's powerful stuff, right?
It is powerful. And I think I think being visually impaired or blind is a difficult thing. You know, there are ways of adapting, but it's difficult. The thing with being born blind, like I am, is that you haven't had sight. But with losing it over time, you know what that feels like, and suddenly you can't have it anymore.
And you know what? Each person in the community, either whether they were born blind or they lost their sight over years, you're gonna have different challenges as well, right? So it's like we say again, everyone's different.
That should be my slogan. Honestly, it really should. But everyone's different, definitely. I think it's a bit of a kind of commonly mentioned topic when it comes to this kind of thing is, maybe the common assumption that text is better accessed digitally rather than through written forms. Do you, is that an assumption you've came across quite a lot already? And do you think there's room for both Braille and digital?
And it's so spooky you've asked this question, because literally the other day I was having this conversation.
Really?
And it does come up so often. So the main thing that people say to me is, yeah, but isn't Braille dying out? And you know, right? So you're like this, Evie. I was on a little Zoom call the other day, where I was learning about Perkins Braillers throughout the years, or like Braillers.
What a Zoom call.
Right. Oh, I'll plug them. It was braillists.org, and they provide like these, little training courses. Well, not training courses, but awareness things. And the man that ran it, he actually has like the largest collection of like Braille equipment throughout the years, and he is one of the last specialists to be able to service Braillers, which is really cool. So I was like, yes, get me on this call.
Yeah.
And I actually asked that as one of my questions at the end to him, because he's a blind man. And I was looking through the other Zoom chat people that were there, and there was quite a few people that I know are part of the blind community as well. So I asked the question and I said, look, do you think that Braille is dying out? Because that's what I hear quite often. And his answer was absolutely not. There is a place for digital access. It's fantastic that we're moving ahead, and we have got these things, like in front of me, Evie, you've got your Brailliant, which is basically a piece of kit that is technology, but it also has Braille on it. So it's like the best of both worlds, right?
It is.
So to me, I've always said that Braille is like pen and paper. Now, are we ever going to get rid of pen and paper?
Absolutely not.
Exactly. And there is definitely a time and place for both pieces of software. What happens if your digital pieces of equipment, like say for example your phone, it couldn't read something that you were trying to read with the screen reader or something because it didn't have a signal, or it required an app. But what made me laugh after that course, during that course, another lady came on, and she was a blind lady as well. And she said, going back to that lady that asked about whether Braille was dying out, she said, I only hear that from sighted people. And she was so passionate about that. And I absolutely love that. And it's like, yeah, like, would you find you saying that? Do you think Braille's dying out? Like, no, it's like your form in some ways is like another type of communication, right? So yes, I think there is definitely a time and place. Technology is advancing, and you've got some fantastic pieces of equipment out there, but no, I don't think Braille will die out, and it will always be there.
Absolutely. I don't think it will either, and it would be an incredibly sad thing for it to. And I think what's kind of, the key thing with it is a sighted person would have the choice if they wanted to read via print on a piece of paper, or write via print on a piece of paper, or read and write using a laptop or any form of technology they find useful. Everyone should have that choice.
Yeah, exactly. And could you just imagine just being like, oh no, well, we're going to just strip this choice from you guys.
Yeah.
Because we don't see it as relevant because we're sighted.
Yeah. And I think although technology is great, I think it's advancing all the time, and it's being able to make brilliant waves when it comes to accessibility in its own right. It puts the responsibility on the person with a disability to be techie.
Yeah, exactly. Like, think about the older community, or people that aren't like, I'm not a super techie person, and there's loads of people in the world that aren't, but imagine just because you have a visual impairment you have to be techie to be able to access them. That's it's not fair, really.
No, and also tech breaks. We know this. Exactly. We know this very well.
Well, we do, yeah. Tech just loves to just break. What was it, like before mocks? Was it that time?
Did we have something before GCSE as well?
Yeah, there could have potentially been. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe during GCSE, I don't know. Like,
we definitely had one before mocks, which was a whole laptop mental breakdown.
Yeah, exactly.
Where the laptop I was using just went, you know what? I don't want to anymore.
Yeah, I'm gonna give up for GCSEs. Evie's fine. She's got this.
Yeah, and she'll be fine. She can just, I don't know. I don't really care, but she'll be fine. We've had lots of breaks, and I think what's kind of leads me on to my other point, lots of breaks when it comes to this Brilliant and its predecessor in my life, the Braille note. We've had it break in the middle of class. That one was fun.
Yeah, that was good.
But it kind of leads me on to my point of Braille tech is so niche.
Yes.
And so, like, imagine, right, it breaks in the middle of class, definitely hasn't happened to us. And then there's only like one company then who you can get it sent away to.
I know, right? And because it's so niche, I've known this running the business as well. When things are niche, they like the prices are more expensive, obviously, because you're doing a more bespoke piece of equipment. But it's also very similar to the kind of, I know you're getting married because you're trying to look for white heels, and I know that that's for a wedding, so I'm going to bump up the prices.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no shade to the tech companies because they're doing a fantastic job. They really are. But it would be great if we could just bring those costs down any way possible. I don't know how that's probably like how that is going to be a thing, but yeah, everyone should have access to digital software if they need it, and Braille if they need it.
Absolutely. And another thing I was randomly thinking about when you were mentioning about sort of Perkins Braillers and things like that, how Braille and I guess Braille tech and ways of writing it have advanced over the years is kind of fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Because if you think about the difference between a Perkins Braille and a Brilliant, for those who don't know, I think I've briefly described it on episodes before, but for those who haven't, who aren't aware, a Perkins Brailler is like a massive typewriter.
Yes. It is heavy.
Very heavy. You couldn't carry it around. And a Brilliant is still heavy, but it's like a kind of tablet. It's, it's quite sleek.
Yeah.
And then before the Perkins, there was, which I learned about from another member of the blind community, a kind of, I don't even know how to describe it, but you basically have to poke the Braille in yourself, but you do it backwards.
Oh my gosh, the stylus, the old stylus of the slate.
That's the word.
Oh yeah, that's crazy that. So to be able to do that, so you have to poke the stylus in. So one, your hands are sore.
Yeah.
But then two, having to do the Braille backwards just so it reads right the other way round.
Yeah.
That's just crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, that stressed me out.
Yeah,
because
stressed me out.
Like, I'm not being funny. How long would that take?
I know. Well, actually, it's funny you mentioned that because I thought that that's what I was going to have to do with every single Braille greetings card that I got, like personalised one. So I've actually got a stylus and slate. But then I was like, oh, it fits in the Perkins Braille. Excellent. So that prints it the right way around. I don't need to know Braille backwards as well.
Yeah, that really does. Like, imagine learning Braille and then going, so actually, you now need to know that backwards.
Yeah, exactly. Or imagine like doing the whole thing and then you turn it over and there's like one mistake.
At that point, I would leave it. Like, I'm not being funny. I don't care what I'm brailing, I would leave it because it's so much work. And I think it's fascinating how it's advanced over time. I'm just glad we still don't have to use the stylus, to be honest.
Yeah, like, and that would, because your fingers are so sensitive as well, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Imagine getting calluses on your fingers and poking that stylus through the.
Well, then you can't even read Braille.
Yeah,
so.
It defeats the object.
Well, speaking of Braille and ways of writing it, I know as a Braille reader the importance of good quality Braille. So can you kind of explain what constitutes good quality Braille?
Ooh, that's a good question. So good quality Braille. So you need to know what grade you're working in and for whatever individual you're working for. You need to be aware that Braille is there is a specific standard of Braille. There's guidelines you can follow, which are UCAF guidelines. So that teaches you about like the spacing, when you number the pages. It all comes down to qualifications, and being able to proofread is a really important one, because you imagine an important piece of documentation that was going out and there was just mistakes throughout all. So there are pieces of software which you can just put in there, like you can convert it into Braille and then print it off, which I know some people do. There's like a group that I'm part of in the UK, and not all of them are Braille readers. So they'll just put it through this system and print it off. But that doesn't always guarantee accurate Braille, because like with any technology, there are bound to be mistakes. So it's just about being able to read it, being able to proofread, being aware of layouts such as tables, being aware of science braille, it's completely different to maths braille. You know, there's a whole plethora of things that you need to be able to adjust when producing good quality braille. I mean, for you, what do you think good quality braille is?
I think good quality braille is, I think layout is very important, like what you were mentioning earlier, especially when it comes to tables and things, which is a whole multiverse of its own. Tables is, you know, there's a very specific way in which that needs to be laid out, but not just tables, just braille in itself to make it legible, but also having braille that's raised enough, which may seem confusing to those who don't read it, but there are definitely differences in how much braille can be raised. And sometimes a lot, going back to what I said about medicine packets earlier, a lot of the time, because of the way that's produced and the material it's on, it's very flattened. And it's like having print that's a little bit scribbled over.
Yes, that's a good way of doing it, like a blurry, blurry print. You're like, what is this?
And you're like, that could be an A, that also could be a C. I'm not entirely sure what that's meant to be. And then you end up spending 5 minutes trying to decode it, and then in the end it's only one word. So I think good, you know, sort of being raised enough is very important. And then what you said earlier about proofreading.
Exactly.
Just making sure that what you've actually brailled makes sense, because like we mentioned earlier, tech is tech. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And I think it's easier for us sighted people to kind of like read a piece of text and be like, oh, that's wrong. You know, I can see it, I can see an error there, because we can skim read. Whereas when you're reading braille, you're reading every letter as it is.
Yes, skim reading is a part of braille that now some people may be able to do, and I applaud you if you can, but I cannot, because you have to feel every single dot. It's like virtually impossible to be able to skim read, and it also I think means that reading braille is a lot slower than reading print.
Yeah, it definitely is.
I can't read things as quickly, and I may not be able to. I'm a quick braille reader. And loads of people are, but I can't read things as quickly as I can print.
It's just that take the time, isn't it? And giving you that time as well to be able to read and catch up, you know, like in your lessons and things.
Catch up sessions.
But you were so good, actually. Like, you were actually just around the same level as all your other students when it came to, like, you know, reading the PowerPoints or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you get used to it, I think. You get really quick, but then you are always kind of like, this is kind of a quote I think I heard from one of my previous guests, kind of like paddling furiously under the surface.
Like, what was that, like a swan? It's like so calm and collected above the water.
And then it's like, and then it's actually going, I don't know what's going on. Like, just to catch up with everyone. Because, like, especially in classes and stuff, you're trying to, like, 1, listen to the teacher, 2, take notes, 3, if you're using a screen reader, that's screaming at you.
The screen reader's always chatting.
They're so aggressive. It's just like the ultimate overstimulation.
It is. Honestly, like, if you like listen really carefully to like your headphones that you've got connected to, you just hear like,
it's like,
and it's like there's nothing on the screen.
What are you actually talking about?
Weird that you all kept on saying that we were just laughing about loads.
So pain.
Pain.
It's still at the start of this year, because there are lots and lots of screen readers you can use when it comes to laptops and stuff, and there's one called JAWS and there's one called NVDA, and I have had experience with both, and at the start of this year I transitioned to NVDA. I don't know if this is just my laptop, and actually if anyone uses NVDA, can you please like get in touch,
send help.
just like, get in touch and tell me if this is a universal experience, but because I'm genuinely wondering, but
or whether your laptop is
but you like log into your laptop, whatever, and it, like, the NVDA takes a minute to load, fair enough. As it's loading, it just keeps going pain, and
it's great.
And I was with you the first time we had it, I think, and we both just went, did that just say?
Oh no, I feel sorry for it, really.
It also used to say grave as well when I used.
Oh my gosh!
But that was only Sibelius.
Well, it's Halloween time now, isn't it?
It is, but that was like, when there was a music software program called Sibelius, and whenever I was on that, when I was trying to perform a certain function, she's like grave. I'm like, I feel like this is
the grave pain.
Yeah, like it's very sinister. So I don't know if that's an NVDA thing or my laptop's just. I'm curious now.
Yeah,
I've not actually thought about that.
Hey, drop some comments below, guys.
is this just an NVDA glitch, or is my laptop just
It's in pain?
Yeah. Because if so, that's a bit worrying. I forgot about that. I'm so used to it now because it says it every time.
Oh, bless it.
I know, it's still in pain. But anyway, so what would you say then are some of the kind of benefits on, I guess, educating society on the access requirements of the blind and visually impaired community?
Ooh, my favorite word of the day, awareness. So raising awareness leads to, I'm going to use your little tagline, Evie, less stigma and stereotypes, and it helps people understand people, like I said before, that blindness is a spectrum. I actually love social media for this kind of stuff because, like, you've got yourselves and you've got likes of like Lucy Edwards and Molly Burke and Blind Tobes, he's also great, that are raising awareness about their condition in like a light-hearted way and in a fun way, and then people are like, oh my gosh, I never thought about that. So I love that. However, I don't know if you've seen, Evie, but have you seen this TikTok trend that sighted people are doing?
No.
And it's so basically they have a person, like their younger sibling or whatever, and they lie to their younger sibling and say, you've got to pretend to be blind so we can get this win these tickets to like Disneyland or something. And then they bring them on the camera, and the younger member of the family has to pretend to be blind, and it's just crazy. These things are getting like millions of hits. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's so insensitive. And I think myself, I've got a good sense of humor, but like there's just things like this that you just don't touch. And that this is someone's life, like this is your life that you live, like, and people like just pretending to be blind just to get these tickets, or like pretend to get these tickets. Like what is the point? What's the point of making fun of a disability? Like it doesn't make any sense to me.
I hadn't heard of that trend before you mentioned it. There are like 2 or 3 things that have immediately jumped out to me as not okay.
Yeah.
1, the obvious. 2, people are doing it because it's a trend.
Yeah,
right.
It's like a trend, and it's crazy.
The mad thing about it is, although it's not a trend that anyone should be taking part in, people do it because it's a trend, meaning that people do it because everyone else is. Yeah. So the people who are just doing it because everyone else is can't entirely be blamed because they are doing it to get those views, get those reactions. And 3, when it's done with younger members of the family.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's not okay.
Right? Like, because like the children think, oh, I'm getting tickets to Disney World here.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, I absolutely
get in. Yeah.
Go pretend to be blind. It's like, oh my gosh. But that also leads me on to, I look through the comment sections of these things, because it's like a little bit of research for me as well. And the amount of things that people say in the comment section, like, oh, they didn't see that coming, or don't worry, the people won't see this, or and it's about that language, Evie. I've always said this, like, and coming back to the question, it's like, well, like raising awareness and what do I hope to kind of explain to people, is like, you don't have to change your language.
No.
Oh gosh, like you will say, I went to the movies and I saw this film, or did you see what my dog was doing before? Yeah. Like, it's language. The more you change that, the more awkward it becomes. Yeah. Like, imagine if like you were like, oh, I went to the cinemas and I heard a movie. Yeah.
It's just, it sounds completely weird because it is.
Yeah. And you'll be in that comment section as well, Evie, and you'll be able to read all them comments.
Yeah.
So it's like, are people just being daft? I don't know.
That's 2 very good points. 1, you do not need to change your language at all. 2, screen readers exist.
Yeah, exactly. And it's reading every single comment out, you little troll.
We can read the comments that you say we can't by scrolling.
Yeah.
Left and right.
Yeah. Like, actually, it's even better because it's like super fast. It sounds like Pingu. It's like,
yeah. Well, everyone who's sighted, I show them my phone, they're like, how do you understand that? And it sounds like normal speech to me.
Yeah, it's great because it's like, you don't want people reading your text.
No, and there is actually really cool that I've accidentally turned on before. There's a really cool feature with Apple. I think it's like 3-4 finger taps. It's a really little niche shortcut. It's called Screen Curtain.
Yeah.
So you can turn your screen completely black.
Whoa.
So, and I don't know, I would assume, yeah, it must be just a voiceover shortcut, and I've accidentally turned it on before, but it's a really cool, if you don't want people reading your messages, which is fair enough, because as someone who's blind, you can't see who's around you.
Yeah, exactly.
You can make your speech really quick. You can turn screen curtain on, so that doesn't affect you, because you know you can't see the screen.
Yeah.
But it turns your screen black.
And it's just that privacy, isn't it? That everyone else has a right to.
Yeah. So that's a really cool little feature.
Oh, that is good.
Yeah.
Oh, hopefully you've like raised some awareness there for people that didn't know about that.
I didn't know about it until I accidentally turned it on, and then didn't realise. And then my mum was like, "Why is your screen black?" And I was like, "I don't." But yeah, and then it took me ages to realise what it was for, and then it clicked, and I went, "That's really smart." That.
Yeah, that is. That's really good.
Yeah, I love that. Anyway, random side tangent.
I know there's always side tangents with us.
There really is. Anyway, complete change of subject. This is a question, I think it's my favourite question to ask, and one I ask all my guests. What would you say has been your proudest moment in life so far?
Oh my god, in life?
Yeah. It can be anything you want.
Jeez.
It can be to do with business. It can be to do with anything.
Ooh. Proudest moment. Where are we? Oh my gosh, I've got to think back of my 33 years of life. Giving birth to my 3 kittens.
I should have guessed you were going to say that.
No, obviously that I did do that, and that isn't the proudest moment of mine. But I can't think of anything. I'm sure there is something that I'm super proud of in my life. But I can't think of that, so I'm just going to do my business one.
Yeah.
So I think there's 2 things that stand out. One, creating the first braille menus for the island. That's pretty cool. And 2, creating a braille birthday card the other day for what I assume was a young boy. And I just thought, wow, I wonder if this will be the first braille card that he's had with like an embossed image on the front. So that was really cute. I really loved that idea, and so definitely one of them.
That's really cute, and I think such a special little thing as well. Like we mentioned at the very start about Christmas cards and birthday cards, because it's not only the braille, it's the images that you create on the front as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Which are brilliant, may I say.
Thank you. Yeah, it's stressing out and hours over Adobe Illustrator creating kawaii little cutesy images.
They look so good though.
Thanks.
Because yeah, like my birthday cards, whenever they've been brailled, my mum, bless her heart, gets the Perkins out and brailles it from the braille that she knows.
Yeah.
And it's a really, really nice little touch, even if I do have to sometimes decode
what
the braille says, and it's really cute. But with yours, it's not only that, it's being able to see the picture on the front, which is one of the cutest parts of birthday cards.
Well, this is the thing. So for me, it was important that, one, there was a simple enough embossed image on the front that you would be able to see. The colours were bright enough for someone that had low vision, they were able to see. That it was a cute design, it wasn't like janky and old-fashioned. And then it was also brailled as well. But like for me, I think it's important that, like with my business as well, it's quite like a young, vibrant, fresh kind of business. And when I first initially started the business, I had a completely different name. It was actually BRL, and it was black and white because I wanted that contrast to hit, and I wouldn't stray, and I didn't want colour. But then when people were meeting me, they were like, "Oh, your logo doesn't fit you. It doesn't make sense." And I'd been teetering with the idea anyway. Something didn't sit right with the business name and the choice of monochrome. So I got Ben, who did my branding for me, as well as Jamie. They did a fantastic job, and they created it. And I said, you know what? I want colour now, and I want a smiley face. They were the 2 things I wanted, because I love a smiley face. And they delivered, and it was fantastic. And yeah, you can have high contrasts with colours as well, and I wanted it to be colourful, because a lot of people think, oh, just because someone's blind or because they have a visual impairment, they don't know colour and they don't like colour. But you've got a favourite colour, right?
I do, yeah, because I associate colours with like feelings and stuff.
Yeah.
I think although everyone in the community may not have a favourite colour, or may not really think of colour that much, some of us do.
Yeah, exactly. And colours come into like fashion as well, doesn't it? And that's about expressing yourself. I know Lucy Edwards is big on that, you know, with her makeup, and Molly's big on that with her clothes that she wears, like the textures and you know, the feels of the fabric. So yeah, it is important. You guys just do things differently.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Completely agree with that. Now, I'm sure you have many goals and aspirations, but do you have any immediate kind of aspirations for the future that come to mind?
Okay, well, you know me, my brain's always ticking over, and it was ticking over way before I even started the business. So I'm a huge gamer. Oh my gosh, big gamer, board games, video games. So I would love to be able to make board games more accessible, because
so much.
me and you, we've only played Monopoly and Connect 4.
Yeah.
And Snakes and Ladders. That's a good one. But like, you should be able to access, you know, like, I don't know, Cards Against Humanity, or you know, Cluedo, and D&D. Like, how incredible would that be?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely a goal of mine, to get my cogs ticking about that. Also, what else do I want to do? I would, obviously, to work alongside loads and loads of businesses, make everything accessible, raise awareness. That's a long-term life achievement, life goal. And probably another one would be, I'm actually in the process of looking into doing some sort of training at the moment. So I won't say what that is, but it will be amazing for the business, and it will be able for it will allow me to provide like certified things to do with accessibility in buildings, which will be really cool.
Oh, that's very cool. That's an exciting little project.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I wish you the very, very best of luck with everything. And yeah, just thank you so much for coming on the pod. I mean, I know how much of an incredible person you are anyways, but I love how passionate you are about this, and you're doing so amazing already. And I'm just very excited to watch you kind of make such a difference, because you're already starting to make it.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for always being a little champion for me, even before I started this business. And, you know, and thanks for existing, because not in time wouldn't exist, really, right? Because, like, I don't know, maybe I would have met someone else in another life, but I don't know. I just feel like it was I was going to say a really cheesy, cringy thing then, but like, it was fate, it was destiny.
Oh my God.
Cut that out. But yeah, it's you know, and I'm glad to have you and your mum and everyone, you know, by my side, helping to make my business as accurate and great as possible.
Absolutely. Yeah, you are doing an amazing job. And I guess one final thing, where can people find you if they want to support you?
Okay, so I'm on Instagram, Dot and Type, Facebook, Dot and Type, LinkedIn, Natasha Molyneux-Smith. I am on, what else am I on, Evie? Oh, my website,
Oh yeah,
that's www.dotandtype.com. So they are all the places where you can find me.
Amazing. And I would very, very much encourage people to give the socials a follow and support Tasha as much as you can. And thank you so much for my audience for listening, and I will see you all next time.